First off, everyone, welcome to Uman. Ashreinu, we made it. There's a story of Rabbi Natan, Rabbi Nachman's main student. He said when he saw somebody being buried in the back, it was a funeral. And Rabbi Nachman said that if that person wants, he doesn't have to come back here. And Rabbi Natan said, what do you mean? Rabbi Nachman said, he doesn't have to come back if he doesn't want to. So Rabbi Natan said, but Chazal taught that if a person doesn't live their life up to their potential, they come back. I have a lot of sources, Rabbi Natan said, to substantiate that. Rabbi Nachman said, it's true what you're saying. But if he goes up there after his life is over and he begs and pleads and he refuses to come back and he doesn't give up, he doesn't have to come back. Rav Natan said, I made a decision at that moment in my life, I will never come back. Unless I'm guaranteed to be able to come to Uman and I get to be by the Rebbe. And he said, if I can come back to the Rebbe's kever in Uman, I'll come back for a whole lifetime, just so I can do that. So we have no idea what this is. We have no idea what we're doing here. We have no idea how powerful this is. We're very, very, very lucky. Very lucky. So Ashreinu to everybody here. Like I tell people, a lot of people are looking for like this amazing experience when they get here. And Bezrat Hashem, you'll all have one. But you should know, if you stepped foot in Uman, you already did it. You already won. Everything else after this, cherries on the cake, gravy. I know it doesn't sound good together, but two different mashalim, you know what I mean? This guy knows what I mean. Okay, what I want to do, a little bit different than usual. I want to start by closing our eyes. And I want us to imagine, okay? Everyone, close your eyes for a second. Really do it though. And I'm going to do it with you. I want you to imagine what your next year will be like if everything would change. I know a lot of us, if not all of us, have things in our life, skeletons in our closet, challenges that have been troubling us for a very long time, or maybe somebody else, a loved one, a family member, a friend, and on paper, nature would tell you it's over, for that thing at least in your life, or that person in your life. I want us all to imagine that it changes. And I want you to imagine what the change would look like. Imagine that person who you love that's sick heals. I want you to imagine you yourself. You struggle with your identity. You struggle with your joy. You struggle with your faith. You struggle with your self-esteem. I want you to imagine next year, it actually all changes. Starting Rosh Hashanah, everything changes. Imagine yourself with the change. Imagine the smiles of your loved ones around you, seeing you change, or you seeing them change. Imagining it all change. I want you to do that for another 20 seconds, okay? Just stay with it. Feel the joy. Feel the exuberance. Feel the excitement. Feel the surrealness. And when you're ready, you can open your eyes. It's too good. Nobody wants to open. It's good. If someone could raise their hand, be bold and brave, what do you think would stop you from that happening? It's got to be one word though. Or it's got to be about one word. What do you think, let's say it like this. What do you think would stop you from that taking place? Yeah. Fear. Very good. Habits. Very good. Rote. Habituation. Yes. The mind. The mind. What about the mind? Attachments of the mind. Okay. Hashem what?
Hashem needs to allow us to change the habit.
So you think the one thing that's going to stop you is Hashem? Okay, good. Distractions. You're talking about Candy Crush or whatever? Something else?
Myself.
Yourself. What about yourself? Habits. Two habits. Nature. Doubt. Anybody else? What? The Yetzer Hara. How does the Yetzer Hara usually manifest for you? Pick one big one. Tomorrow.
I'll start tomorrow.
I'll start right. I'll start tomorrow. Got it. The imagination that you could always just try for real tomorrow. Right. Overthinking. Yeah. I thought you wanted to say something. No? You're just so damn handsome, I can't. Yes. Hashem's timing. So you're also blaming God. Very good. Anybody else? No, it's real. This is Uman, baby. Let's get real here. Anybody else in the back? Okay. Emunah.
Not enough tefillah.
Not enough tefillah. Yes. Depression. That's a good one. Insecurities. Very good. Yes. What did he say?
Not letting go.
Not letting go. What's stopping you from letting go? Afraid to look back. You don't want to regret. Fear. Okay. It's funny how Rabbi Nachman's main messages were about all these things. The first was fear, right? Rabbi Nachman said, Kol ha'olam gesher tzar me'od. This whole entire world is a very narrow bridge. Va'ikar v'raklal, and the main thing, lo mifakeh klal, not to be afraid. Rabbi Nachman says, it's usher to get old. You're not allowed to be an old tzaddik, you're not allowed to be an old chassid, you're not allowed to get old. They once asked Rabbi Nachman, how do you do so much in a given day? How do you keep this up every day? Rabbi Nachman responded, if I thought about that, I wouldn't be able to do it. Because as soon as you think about tomorrow, you can no longer handle the weight of your life. However, Rabbi Nachman says, if you only think about today, you can handle anything. What else did we say up here? Fear. What else was there? Rote. Mind. Depression. Right? Rabbi Nachman said that the main thing that makes people far from Hashem is sadness, is depression. And he says because people struggle so much with this, they don't have a clear mind. And Rabbi Nachman says the key to connecting and experience Hashem's life is a clear mind. And the main thing that the Yetzer Hara wants to do with you is to make you sad. And the reason is because it'll take away the clarity of your mind. And if you don't have clarity of mind, you won't feel Hashem's love in your life. In fact, Rabbi Nachman said the main thing that the Yetzer Hara wants is not the Avera. He doesn't care about the Avera. He wants the sadness after. He wants the despair. He wants the Yeush. A few years ago, I just made Aliyah to Eretz Yisrael. I had a lot of people telling me not to go, even really big rabbis. You're not going to find schools for your kids. You're not going to fit in. You're not going to find a place for yourself. You're going to have to learn a new language. It's not going to work. Don't do this to yourself. Rabbi Nachman says in the 20th Torah of Likutei Moharan, it's impossible to be a real Jew in Hutz La'aretz. And when my student said to me, why are you leaving? I told them the same reason why you get inspiration from me when it comes to Hibodedut, that I actually do it. So when we get to this Torah in Likutei Moharan, you ask me, so then why aren't you in Israel? I don't want to be able to not have an answer for you. And when I got to Israel, I forgot to do something. Get myself an Israeli passport. And Uman was coming up, and I'm thinking to myself, wow, I am going to Uman from Israel. Instead of 12, 13 hours, it's going to be a quick 2 hours. And I'm telling all my students from Queens, we're doing it. It was right after COVID, we're all going together. They all bought their tickets, I bought my tickets, couldn't wait. I've been like dying for this. And then my wife texts me, do you have a like Israeli passport? And I said, no. She said, do you need that to go to Uman? I was like, no. She's like, are you sure? And I said, yeah. And then I started dripping with sweat as I let it hit my head and my heart. This might be a big problem. I texted Tzvi Kramer and I asked him, do I need that? And he said, yeah. And then the meltdown started. And my wife said to me, okay, listen, David, it's not over. There's a place where they give out emergency darkones. They give out emergency passports. We're going to make you an appointment. We look online and we see next available appointment. If you guys have been to Israel, you know what I'm about to say right now. 17 years. No, I'm just kidding. 9 months. I'm like, it can't be. It can't be. I'm not going to go to Uman. And all my students are going for the first time for Rosh Hashanah. I can't be. It can't be. And then she said, you know what? You can actually go there. Just walk in. Tell them it's an emergency. And they can give you a temporary thing to go. So, okay, I did a lot of Hibodedut before that. I'm like, Hashem, come on, this is it. This is the opening you need to get me the passport. As I'm walking in, there is a very, very, what's the word? Caustic Israeli man, holy Sephardi Jew, doesn't really care about a lot of things, besides making sure nobody gets in who's not supposed to. And here I am, the sweet Ashkenazi American, with no paperwork, thinking anything is possible. Walking in, this guy saying, where are you going? And I don't speak any Hebrew, so I tried my best, you know. In. No. Do you have documentation? No. And he said, so that's it, you can't come in. And I start like getting very emotional. I'm used to being able to like plead my case with people. This is the first time I couldn't because he didn't speak the same language as me. It didn't matter what my face was looking like. He might have probably gotten more nervous about what might happen next. The people around me who didn't even know who I was felt so bad for me because I couldn't speak any Hebrew and I couldn't communicate to this guy how important this was to me. So they started pleading and advocating for me. You gotta let this guy in. He needs to get in. It's something very important. And I think, oh my gosh, this is going to be such a miracle. I'm going to be able to tell this story in Uman. And then he goes, do you have documentation? And I said, no. He goes, you can't come in. And I start walking back to my car, and I sit in the car, and it hits me. I'm not going to Uman for Rosh Hashanah. And I start crying in my car. How mortified I was. How stupid I felt. This is everything for me, you know? If anybody wants to hear my life story, that's not what this class is about. You can go check it out on the Meaningful People podcast, why it was so important to me, or what's that, Ellie Nash podcast. You can go check that out also. But this is everything for me. The fact that I'm here right now is mamish everything. And but then something happened to me. I started screaming to God, literally screaming, not in my head. And the realest prayer that ever happened came out of my mouth. I said, God, I'm not perfect. I make mistakes every single day. But I am fighting my all for you. Every day I get up and I fight to get to Shachri. It's not easy. A lot of times I fail, but I'm fighting. And I'm trying every single day to help your kids get back to you. And it is a fight. And I'm fighting every day. I'm fighting for you, and I'm fighting for the Rebbe. And I said out loud, it just poured out of me, Rabbi Nachman, if you can hear me, I fight for you every single day. And I mamish have tears rolling down my eyes. I said, fight for me. I fight for you every day. Fight for me. And I get a phone call from my wife. She said, David, did you leave the embassy yet? I said, no. She goes, don't go anywhere. Just so you know, my wife is not a connected person. She grew up in a moshav, Yemenite, Israeli Jew, very, very special woman, but she's not connected to people. She didn't have like special connections. Definitely not her dad. She told me, listen, I spoke to my dad. He said he might know the person who's the head of the whole embassy. I was like, this can't be real. There's no way this is possible. There's no way that's true. I was just in that village over there, you know, with the one guy giving the haircut, and the one guy, you know, shechting the animal. Same person feeding it to you, and that same person is your grandpa. I was like, this is not real. There's no way. She said, do me a favor. Go back in there and tell them, this person said I can come in. And I have no idea what's going on right now, but I'm riding it. Because I'm so jacked up from my adrenaline, you know, laden prayer that I just came out of my mouth. And I walk back into the, and the guy's looking at me, he's like, oh my God, this stupid white American person keeps coming in. He's like, dude, don't you get it? You're not coming in. And I told him, so-and-so said, let me in. He takes a cigarette, he stares me down, he steps back, he says, go in. I can't believe what's happening. I'm walking in the embassy. I'm like, what now? You know, I don't know what to do now. The sound like that goes off, and they call the next person to the front. Next person to the front, so I'm like, okay, I guess. So they told me, you have to wait until everybody's done here and they'll take you. I'm waiting there for hours. Everybody's gone. I am sweating profusely. I have no idea what's going on. I'm so overwhelmed. I finally get to the front. They said, what do you want? I said, I want to go to Uman for Rosh Hashanah. They said, okay, 1 second. In 1 second, they had a document for me. A temporary passport. Only available. Only eligible, only workable for the next 6 months. Here you go. And I left there. And I said, I'm going to Uman for Rosh Hashanah. What gave me the cojones to do that? What made me so stupid, so naive, so innocent, and so psychotic, so chutzpahdik, that I could talk to Hashem like that, that I actually thought He would listen, because I was an atheist for most of my life, and that was not the same guy as the 25, 27, 28, 30 years leading up to that moment. So what changed for me? I wish that was the answer. It's a better answer though. Rabbi Nachman says, what is Emunah? What is Emunah? Rabbi Nachman says in the 7th lesson of Likutei Moharan, he says in the 9th lesson of Likutei Moharan, he says in Torah Hey and Tinyana, it comes up again in the 8th Torah in Tinyana. Rabbi Nachman says Emunah is that you believe that Hashem is Mechadesh. That means that Hashem could have created things to be a certain way for a year, for 15 years, for 30 years, for thousands of years. And it could have been the same way every moment until that point. your anxiety, your depression, your substance abuse, your alcohol addiction, your fears, your worries, your self-esteem that has never existed, your lack of shalom bias, and the list goes on and on and on. And Rabbi Nachman says, you know what it is to have emunah? That mamish in one moment, if you believe that Hashem can change everything for you, then you have emunah. That is basic emunah, Rabbi Nachman says. Well, it doesn't sound so basic. It doesn't sound so basic. When I put you through that activity and I asked you to imagine next year what that would be like, you probably had a lot of resistance, no? Probably took you a while to get into it because you're like, well, that's not happening. Rabbi Nachman says that's why we're all suffering, because we don't have emunah. So what are we doing? What are we here for? In Rabbi Nachman's last lesson, the 8th Torah of Tinyana, it's called Tochacha. Rabbi Nachman gave it on his last Rosh Hashanah here, 215 years ago, almost to today. And I went on a tour with my son, thank God, and Gav, and Benyahu for a little bit, where I got to see the house that Rabbi Nachman lived in when he gave that Torah lesson. It's now a massage place, and they had a picture of a baby getting massaged. And I was looking for the chokhmah in it. And I realized, you know, Rabbi Nachman said, anybody who says my name becomes like a newborn babe. So he must have gave this Torah, and it was just destined, this is only going to be for newborn babes coming out the womb. So Rabbi Nachman says, at the end of that lesson, because he knew he was going to die, there's one thing for sure I could tell Hashem when I get up there. I know I did with you, that I could feel good about. That which I know through my das, you guys can all believe through your imagination. Meaning very simply, he got to the highest level of knowledge that's possible in this world. Nachman, says Rav Tzvi Ari Rosenfeld, Nachman is Moach Nun. Moshe Rabbeinu got to the 49th gate of understanding. Nachman is the 50th. So Rabbi Nachman doesn't boost you up for something that's not real. He's not telling you can know what I know. Bezrat Hashem, hopefully you'll get there, but he can't promise you that. But what he could promise you, and what he did promise us, all of us, for then and for the future, right now, is that I can get you to believe mamish like I knew. The only thing that needs to change is we need to give you a brand new imagination. Because emunah is a product of imagination. You might have thought that your whole life. When someone said, do you believe in God? You're like, no, that's made believe. Rabbi Nachman says, you're not quite off. It's not made believe, but it is a product of your imagination, which means emunah, Rabbi Nachman says, begins where understanding ends. So where do I get this faculty of faith from? Where do I get the faculty of belief from if it's past my level of understanding? I'm going to have to take a leap. And we say leap of faith. Rabbi Nachman says it's not a leap of faith. It's a leap of imagination. So you might say, well, it'll take me forever to have an imagination that allows me to believe that in one moment everything can change, that next year will actually be a new year, that I won't be here next year with the same exact problems, crying, screaming, twisting on the inside about all the same exact things. Rabbi Nachman says, the world teaches you when you see it, you'll believe it. You heard that before? When I see it, I'll believe it. Rabbi Nachman said, Nebach. When you believe it, you'll see it. Because Rabbi Nachman taught in the 8th Torah of Tinyana that when the imagination of a Jew is purified, It is restored. His koach medameh, his power imagination is not jaded anymore. It's back to being a newborn babe. He will believe that Hashem is machadesh naturally. So you're not creating some new phenomenon in you that you can't imagine. It is literally what you believed when you were a baby before everybody hurt you. It is the most natural part of every single Jew, is to believe that Hashem can do anything. Kol yachol. You believe that. That's why you haven't given up yet. There's a part of you that believes that. In order to mamish own it, that it becomes your only belief, your imagination needs to be purified. Rabbi Nachman says, and then when you have that, you'll have emunah. And Rabbi Nachman says, guess what happens when you have emunah? It's called chidush ha'olam, a renewal of the world. A renewal of the world. If you go to Chabad and you say, what do we need to bring Mashiach? They'll tell you, Mashiach now. If you ask a Litvak what we need to do in order to bring Mashiach, they would say, learn more Torah. I don't know, I think there's more Torah being learned now than ever. And I'm pretty sure every single one of us is obsessed with the concept of Mashiach. It's probably in every lesson that we learn. Do you guys see Mashiach? You see Geula? Rabbi Nachman says we're going to need a brand new world. And in order to have a brand new world, you're going to have to first believe it's possible. Because Emunah creates a new world. A brand new world. A brand new reality. Where anything is possible. Where we have the hashkacha pratis of the land of Israel and it sweeps over the world like water covers the sea. That there is no teva in the land of Israel. There is no nature. Yeah, it looks like it. You have the Israeli guy smoking the cigarette. That guy looks as natural as can be. His cigarette looks as natural as possible. So does that ash stand he's got on the bottom there that he's clicking it into. But guess what? All of it can change. One moment it can all change, and the only thing that needs to happen for you to experience that, the only thing, is you have to really believe it can. Now Rabbi Nachman says, how do you get to the point that your imagination is pure like that? That's very nice. This is very beautiful, very inspiring. How do you get there? Rabbi Nachman said that all of his lessons, he said if you have eyes to see, you'll be able to predict the future with them. He said if for some reason you're not holding there, it's okay. But in retrospect, you'll be able to see that I predicted everything. In fact, once somebody asked Rabbi Nachman, how do we know we're in the times of Mashiach, that he could actually come? Right? We have all the simanim from Chazal. The kids are going to teach their parents. There's going to be a lot of chutzpah in the generation. The leaders of the generation are going to look like dogs. You're fired. You're a dog. That was my bad Trump impression for anybody who didn't know. I didn't see any laughter over here, but it's okay. I'll get over it. Okay. I have a microphone now, so I'm thinking about making jokes. Roberto, how's it going? It's good. Stick to the tour lesson. Okay. Come on, you gotta tell me. Help me out, man. Okay. Yeah. So Rabbi Nachman said, when you can fly, this is 100 years before the airplane was created. There was no talking about this. There was no rumoring. There was no conjecture. There was no conspiracy theories. That one day we will be flying on airplanes. And the Jews are the one who stole the idea. No, they didn't have it back then. Rabbi Nachman said, when you can fly to Eretz Yisrael and ask the Mashiach for a practical eitzah, hey, I'm struggling getting up for prayer in the morning. What do you think I should do? And you can get back in time for Mincha, Rabbi Nachman said. Mashiach can come in that generation. Who says stuff like that? Like I always tell people, either Rabbi Nachman is a crazy psychopath who thought he was him, the goat. Or like Rabbi Nachman said, either everybody's right about me or I'm right about me and nothing in between. So everything that I've seen that Rabbi Nachman said would happen has come true, and you can look at all of those things. You don't have to take my word for it. Why? Because Rabbi Nachman said that all of my Torah is filled with nevuah. And when the Jewish people received the Torah at Har Sinai, we had the spirit and the serpent's sting. The poison of the Nachash had been in our blood for generations and generations. And then Hashem gave us the Torah, it says in Masechet Shabbat, and it pushed all of the poison out. What is that poison? It's called lack of faith. It's called disbelief. It's called being jaded. What changed that all for us? We got the Torah. So the Lidbox were right. But what is it about the Torah that pushed out the poison? Rabbi Nachman says it's the Nevuah. Nevuah changes everything. And Rabbi Nachman said, Likutei Moharan is Kulo Nevuah. The whole thing's Nevuah. The more that you learn these teachings, and the more that you practice these teachings, the more that you try to bring them into your life in a real way, or at least you want to, the more that Nevuah purifies your power of imagination. And then one day, when usually things fall apart, and you say, here we go again, I'm a loser. It's never going to happen. It's never going to work out for me. Instead, something is going to roar out of your heart. I might be a loser, and I might make a million mistakes, but I have not given up yet, and I fight every single day. Fight for me. Fight for me. When I was coming to Uman this year, I said to Hashem, please, it's been a very exciting time getting to Uman these past few years. Please don't do it to me again. I don't think my heart's going to take it anymore. I really don't. This was almost the worst one yet. And not because it was the hardest. It was definitely not. Last year was the hardest. But this was the most painful because it was my fault. I misread the document. Rabbi said to me, when are you leaving to go to Uman? I said, I only think about today now. Rabbi Nachman said, only think about today. He said, you should probably check that document. So that's the thing I did, which just makes it worse. I read it and reread it so many times. But because I read from right to left, because I'm a stupid American, instead of reading from left to right, because I'm in Israel now, I mixed up the arrival time for the departure time. And I go, wow, Akiva, this is great. We're leaving at 6:30. And lucky for me, I have someone as incompetent as me on the other side reading that document. And he's telling people the same thing. We're leaving at 6:30 at night, baby. We got all day for this. I said to him the night before, you pack anything? He's like, no, you? I said, no, we got all day. It was great. I never was more calm in the morning. Packing up very slowly, my white t-shirt, it didn't fit me, it was like my kid's shirt. Okay, no worries. That was it. I was actually I just came out of the shower before I came here, and I'm like, wow, I got in better shape here. Anything's really possible. And then the shirt only came down to here, and then I realized what was going on. I think it was your shirt. And I'm about to get in the car. I get him a taxi. I get me a taxi. This is my holy friend Akiva Nachman, his holy son Betzalel, and holy Gerim, which Rabbi Nachman said that when Gerim and Bali Tshuva come back, this Nevuah spreads across the world, and this purifies everybody's power of imagination. So thank God we're closer to Nevuah now. I'm sure a lot of you guys are probably Bali Tshuva and Gerim, maybe the first time you're here. You should know we're really closer to Mashiach now because you came. So again, give yourself a round of applause. Yeah, come on, let's go. This is real stuff here. This is real stuff, yeah, this is no joke. And my holy brother Akiva came for the first time to Uman for Rosh Hashanah with his son, and I'm going with him with my son. I'm like, this is just so special. I get him a taxi, I get me a taxi, and then my wife calls me, she says, David, the gate's closing in 10 minutes. I said, what are you talking about? She said, Akiva just said that the gate's closing in 10 minutes. I said, no, he made a mistake. It's his first time going, don't worry. Amateur hour over here. I call Akiva and I hear his heart has just been ripped out from Mortal Kombat style. Get over here. He goes, the gate's closing in 10 minutes, David. I said, no. we're arriving 3 hours early. He said, check the document again. And I look back, and the horror, the aghast. I said, not again, not this year, not again, please, not again. I get in the cab, and Lenore says, get in there and get over there. And a few minutes in, I get a text from Akiva saying, the flight took off. And I broke. And my son's sitting next to me. And he said, what happened? I said, the flight left. And he goes, we'll get another one, right? And I said, I don't know. He said, no, but whenever you go to Uman, the taxi driver said there's maniot. And he gave me chizik. And I said, you're right. You're right. And then my wife is texting me, David, stay b'simcha, everything's gonna be okay, keep it together. She knows I have a severe anxiety disorder. Struggled a lot with depression in my life, and she knows that this means a lot to me. I put my phone down, I put it on silent, I put it in my pocket. I asked Shiloh, what are you doing? He said, I'm praying. And I said, what am I doing? I'm such a loser over here. My son is telling me there's maniot, and I'm praying, and I'm here broken. And then he starts talking to me, and I said, shh, I'm praying. And I start crying from my heart. And I said the same exact thing. I said, God, you can't do this to me. You can't do this to me. I said, I'm going to go to sleep now. And when I wake up, you're going to find a way for me to get to Uman. Because I believe in you. I have emunah. And I know you can do anything. And I need you to right now. And I closed my eyes. And I was tired from the crying and from the exhaustion, from the overwhelmment. And I woke up, and I'm still in the taxi. I don't know how long it was. It must have been a lot of traffic. I look at my phone, and the phone is ringing from Lenore, my wife. And I pick up the phone. She goes, why are you not picking up my phone call? And I said, I'm sorry, I just missed it. It's just been a long trip. And she said, David, I found there's a flight that's going to leave in 5 minutes. Are you going to be at the airport in 5 minutes? I was like, I don't know, let me ask the taxi driver. I said, taxi driver, how long till we get there? 5 dakot. 5 minutes. My wife says, with traffic or without traffic? I said, why? She said, because they need us to pay for the tickets now. I'm going to have to pay for all your tickets again if you're going to go. And I don't want to pay for them if you're not going to make this flight either. With traffic or without traffic? I asked the driver, he says without traffic. She said, what should I do? $450 to renew the flight. I said, do it. She said, for each one of your flights. $2,000. Ask for a barrel. We're not raking in the cash yet at the Breslov Yeshiva. Yeah. But anybody who wants to help us out after this would be highly appreciated. Rabbi can tell you more about it. And I said, Lenny, you know the answer. Book the flights. She booked them. She told me when you get in the airport, take the elevator down to the basement. There's a secret agent there waiting for you. I'm not kidding. I said, are you serious? She said, yeah, rush. Me and Sheila are in the elevator. We go down to the basement. I see Akiva and his son all the way in this random room in the side. They're rushing me into the side. They said, give us the bags. Give us your passport. They said, run up. I said, you didn't even give me the ticket yet. I don't even. They said, run up, run up, run up. Sheila keeps saying, we got to run. We said, run. They said, we don't have the ticket yet. We don't have the ticket. Oh my gosh. Finally, we get the tickets. And Akiva says, what now? I said, run. We all start running up the stairs. We run to the gate. And we're looking around, and all these Breslovers are sitting there looking just like this guy behind the wall over here. How you doing? And maybe he was there. He's like, I remember you. We were sweating our tuchuses off. And I get over there, and I didn't believe that we made it. Neither did Akiva. I could tell on his face. He's like, no. He's like, what now? I said, I think that's it. He goes, what do you mean? I said, I think we made it. I think we're just waiting now. He's not comfortable with it. I'm not comfortable with it. They would probably call that trauma, right? It's definitely trauma, okay. I go up to the guy in the front and I said, is this the flight to Bakou? He goes, yeah. I said, this thing? And he goes, yeah. I said, the flight didn't leave yet? He said, no. I said, what do we do? He said, just wait a few minutes and we're gonna go. I couldn't relax. We got on the bus, we went on the plane. I think it was only like the last 30 minutes in the plane that I finally accepted I was going to Uman for Rosh Hashanah. I've been through a lot in my life. And after I had my first 2 kids, I didn't really think I was gonna make it. And just 2 months ago, I had my 5th child. And I got to name, 3 months ago, and I got to name him after Rav Natan. And so I just want you to see, you have a person, 2 little kids, has everything to live for, and feels like he can't make it anymore though. Because his imagination is so dark. His imagination is so jaded. His imagination has been so corrupted by the secular world, by secular wisdom, rejection, bullying, feeling like an alien my whole life. And at the moment that I felt like I wasn't going to go on anymore, I said, you know what? If my grandfather, Zecher Zadik Libracha, who passed away and was buried as we were going into Rosh Hashanah last year, survived the Holocaust, saw his father shot and killed, his parents were killed in the camps, his brothers and sisters were killed in the camps, his only religious family member, his grandfather, who he loved more than anything in the world, was killed, and he couldn't reconcile it, so he stopped believing in God. If this person can go in at 13 years old, right after he wraps tefillin for the first time, and every day his life is threatened multiple times, and he sees, like we saw today, a Nazi say, give me 1,000 Jewish kids. I need them to bury up some ground right now. And you know how that ends. They're burying their own burial place. And my grandfather is being told to do that every day, and he keeps escaping death. And if that person had enough conviction, had enough grit, not to give up. How can I give up? How can I give up? But I can't go forward. I can't move forward in my life like this either. So I can't give up, but I can't move forward. So what am I going to do? And that's when I started talking to Hashem an hour a day. That's been going on now for almost a decade. And Hashem has completely changed my life. And it's hard to believe. It's very, very surreal. And if I was in this room sitting here and you told me to put me through that exercise, I'm the saddest guy over here. And I'm not believing a word you're saying. But Rabbi Nachman said, guess what? Many tzaddikim before me came to this world. They brought a light to this world. It was very, very bright. But when they left, that light went along with them and it dimmed. But my fire is going to burn until the coming of Mashiach. And we think that that is very inspirational and that is very encouraging. And we look at Uman and we see however many 50,000 people are here and we say, that's it. But you don't understand what Rabbi Nachman means. He means that your imagination is going to be so corrupt, it's going to be so dark, that atheism is going to sweep over the world. And the only hope you will have left is fire that can burn up all the darkness. That fire is going to burn until the Mashiach comes. That fire will not stop burning until it changes your whole life. The only thing you got to do, let it in. Let it in. So if I give you one parting message for this Uman Rosh Hashanah trip, don't just take the bumper stickers. Don't just go home and tell your wife, get ready, every year I'm going back for the best religious Jewish party that exists. Being a religious Jew can be fun. Don't go back here. You heard a nice vort. Please don't do that. I will be so mad at you next year. Go back and say it over to yourself. Rabbeinu sha'ag b'kol gadol. Rabbeinu screamed in a very loud roar as blood was pouring out of his throat from tuberculosis. Ein shum yeyosh ba'olam klal. There is no such thing as despair in the world. It does not exist. How many times does the word suffix, doubt, come up in the Torah? You guessed it, 0. Do you know why? Because it doesn't exist. There's only one thing you have to do. You have to believe it's possible. You have to believe it's possible. Go home. After this trip is over, please do me a favor. I know you guys have been through the gamut. I know you guys have been through the ringer. Nobody gets here for no reason. Please, don't say I tried Breslov and it didn't work. Don't do that to Rabbi Nachman's name. Please. Before you give up on this, for 1 year, go home and believe anything is possible. Let the Rebbe's light in like anything is possible. Talk to God, not like a king, not like a father. Yes, in the Amidah you should do that. It's the Shulchan Aruch. I'm not a heretic. But in your Hibodedut, talk to him like anything is possible. Ask yourself, what would I say to you, Hashem, right now if I really believed you could do anything for me? You wanted to do anything for me. How would I speak to you? And let it just pour out of your veins, and you will see miracles take place in your life. I'm not a preacher. Nobody paid me for this class. Please, I beg you, go home and have one real prayer in your whole entire life. I'll end with this. When the Jewish people were taken out of Mitzrayim, Moshe came to save us. Moshe Rabbeinu, the great tzaddik, the Raya Mehemna, the faithful shepherd of the Zohar says, he's not called the faithful shepherd because he's faithful. He's called the faithful shepherd because he shepherds faith, because his fire burns away all the darkness of your imagination and you're left with emunah. And Moshe said, what should I tell them your name is? They've been suffering a long time. And Hashem said back, Eker Asher Eker. I'll be what I'll be. There was a great Hasidic master who said, what does that mean? It means tell them, I know you've been suffering a long time, but I'm going to tell you everything can change. I can only be what you let me be. I'll be what I'll be means I'll be what you let me be. I'll be what you allow me to be. If you believe I can help you 50% in your life, I'll help you 50%. If you think I can take care of 70% of things for you, I'll take care of 70% of things for you. If you think that I can change your whole freaking life and everything in it, I can do that for you. And I'll be whatever you believe I can be. The Arizal says, Eker Asher Eker is a mathematical equation. I'll be that I'll be. I'll be is Gematria 21. That also means times. I'll be again, 21. What's 21 times 21? That was a joke. I know, we're all religious Jews. None of you guys are good at math. 441. Does anybody know what that's the Gematria of? Emet. You might say to me, that's a very nice shiur. That was a very nice vort, David. Faith. But it's not true. And Hashem says that's why you're suffering. Because you know what the greatest truth in the world is? Hashem said my name. I'll be what I'll be. That's the truth. That's the emet. And in case you think you can't believe that, I was thinking in my bed as I was resting, thinking about what I'm going to talk about tonight. And I realized the gematria of the word Yisrael. All of us, we're Jews, right? It's 541. You add the letters, it's 546. So we're not going to do Eker times Eker. We're just going to do the gematria. We're simple Jews. Eker, Asher Eker, 546. Yisrael with the letters, same gematria as I'll be what I'll be. Which means, just like Hashem can be anything you allow him to be, when you allow Hashem to be whatever you want him to be, then you can also be whatever you want to be. And that's how it works. I give all of us a blessing this year, 5786, that we can all truly believe the truth, the emet. Hashem can be whatever we let him be, whatever we believe he can be. And then Bezrat Hashem, those things that you gave up on a long time ago in your life that hopefully you thought about in the beginning of this year, you could be that too. Woo! Everybody have a great Rosh Hashanah. Thank you guys.